Jeff, I first was exposed to you because I saw you and your wife testify on a bill in Olympia. You were there in person testifying in support of a bill this legislative session, 2026. Could you tell us about what you were there for?
Washington State was considering an age verification bill to protect minors on the internet. So everybody agrees that minors should be protected, but in the manner that they are protected is kind of up for debate. Last year, January 2025, the Supreme Court basically had a case that the Free Speech Coalition, which is the porn industry, sued Texas because Texas initiated an age verification system. The Supreme Court said that Texas had the right to protect their children. So they kind of opened up the floodgates for many different states now to instigate age verification systems. And now about half the states in the US have those, but Washington State doesn't yet.
Wow, I see. Okay. And so, how did things go with our bill in 2026? Did it pass out of that committee?
No, unfortunately, it didn't. That's as far as it got. So it's encouraging that it's kind of making some progress. It's getting some interest.
What did you think of those who testified against the bill, or at least who raised doubts about like whether the age verification software has, proper privacy protections, or I remember people testifying about how complicated it is to do a proper job with age verification, and so maybe they said, don't do what's in this bill, but do something else, which effectively, kills the bill as well.
Yeah. Some people are definitely concerned about privacy. And so adults they've got the right to view pornography. And that's not the question at all. The porn industry was really concerned about what they call the chilling effect. So if somebody needed to identify themselves, it might kind of lend them to not go to their sites. So that
Because
was,
the fear would be, if I need to identify myself somehow, that my information will go into some database and that could be leaked.
that's correct. That's correct. And I don't know the technical detail and the validity of that. We've been taking credit cards for years for payment. There's great technology that I hear about. I mean, they can even tell by the wave of your hand if you're an adult or a child. They can do searches of public records. There's a lot of different ways, I mean, with technology now that we can do this quickly.
Do you remember the bill that was considered this year in Washington's legislature? Did it propose one specific mechanism of age verification?
The bill says that if you are a producer of content and there's a certain amount of content on your site, that the content producers have to provide that age verification.
I remember one of the testifiers, I think who spoke right before you and your wife, was a mom of a
Mhm.
17-year-old boy, if I'm not mistaken, here in the Seattle area, I think around Maple Valley or Issaquah, who died by suicide. And she testified to him getting really caught up in some dark stuff on the internet.
Mhm. Yeah, that was heartbreaking to see, but it's reality. The impact, I mean, that's kind of a very extreme case, but the impact that porn can have on youth, um, young people, their brains are not developed enough to experience or to make sense of adult sexuality. So as they're exposed young, it definitely can have an effect that can last a lifetime. That's what I do. Is I'm a counselor, and I counsel people that have had this challenge and the impact that it's had upon them.
What's the age range of people who you've counseled?
Mostly older, it's mostly over 18. I have counseled younger than 18.
And you
Uh,
specialize in what?
I specialize in sex addiction, partner trauma. So basically, it's sex addicts or any sexual acting out behavior that is concerning to an individual, and then the impact it has on their relationship. Many times, people live a secret life, and that's really the pain. It's living a double life and the secrecy. And when that's discovered, it causes a lot of destruction in relationship. So that's what I work through with people is kind of navigating how to how to stop behavior, but more importantly, how to be transparent and open and honest and kind of live authentically. Because that's really what gets people down is that shame if people only knew. So, and much of it is the internet, much of it's pornography, but also it's a lot of other sexually acting out behaviors that I kind of help men walk through and kind of help them navigate how to find healing.
The people who come to you for help, are any of them referred from the criminal justice system or anything like that? Or is it all people that are self-instigating wanting help?
People that visit me are people that are just wanting help themselves. Some people come to me that I do refer out. So anything that is against the law, if it's any child pornography or any sexual abuse, then there's certain counselors that I'd refer out to.
I imagine there's a range of level of severity of people's problems who are coming to you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It is the impact that it has on somebody. It's not necessarily the activity as much as the impact that it has on the individual. It's very clear though that people that show up in my office, almost all of them, it starts when they're young. Most of them keep it secret. Then it just keeps progressing, and then the relationships many times it's discovered, and then it causes that distress of trying to get rid of it. And they realize, boy, it's not an easy thing to get rid of. It's not an easy thing to change. It's highly documented. They've done longitudinal studies from the 70s with thousands and thousands of men that show those that view pornography regularly have worse sex lives, and they have more damaged relationships. So those are two things. It affects people's relationship to attach is really what I see in the office. People's ability to relate to other people, have real relationships.
I believe one of your bios that I read mentions you being in recovery.
When I was young, just like many, I came across pornography, and boy, I didn't know what to do with it, and so I kept it silent. I kept it secret, and that was interesting because back in that day, you had to look for it, and even regardless, I found it, and it wasn't the fact that I had found it; it's the fact that I didn't know how to talk about it. All children are curious. All boys are curious. That's healthy. Having someone to be able to explain and to be able to talk to, and that's what I didn't have. When I was first exposed, it became the thing I went to for connection. It became my drug. If life wasn't going well, then I turned to this. I would turn to this, and that's what it does to all of our youth too, or anybody that turns to it. And most of the men that I work with, what they say is they're lonely. Instead of having primary connections with other people, their primary connection is with their addiction. That was the impact with me. My inability to then build good relationships. It's it's something I'd struggled with when I was young, and even through my marriage, and the last decade, I've become a counselor, sex addiction counselor, partly because of that, because I understand the journey and understand the pain that's involved and the struggle.
When people have a compulsion or an addiction, that usually implies that it's affecting their life in some serious way that
Absolutely.
often they will recognize that they're unhappy with. For you to use the language of being in recovery, that implies addiction, and I'm wondering like what the most common indicators that's porn use is an addiction or a compulsion versus some degree of like normal porn use, or in your view, is there like not is there no non-problematic level of porn use?
That's a great question. So it's one I have all the time, actually. And I don't differentiate between if it's addiction or not. I say, what's the impact on you? How is it affecting you? Some people also like to use the argument, it's a religious argument, it's a moral argument. And I work with just as many atheists as I do with religious people. A sign of addiction is that you try to stop, even though you don't, it's not helpful for you, and you're not able. Is there okay porn use? Is there healthy porn use? There's a debate about that. I would say that, in my personal opinion, I don't think it's okay to objectify somebody else.
The advocacy that I do, Washington Initiative for Boys and Men, has a statewide scope to it. And
Uh-huh.
so, I like connecting with people in all corners of the state, and then I like knowing how different issues affect people in Washington State. So I know
Yeah.
you're in Richland, and
Yep.
also you provide counseling over the internet where most of your
Yep.
clients are over video call. But
Yep.
is there anything you can say about, Spokane, Seattle, west side of the state, east side of the state, related to this topic of sex addiction and helping people with problems?
I would say that it's an equal opportunity addiction. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic class you're at. It doesn't matter what job you have. I see people that are in all ages too. I see a lot of people that are in the 70s. And so sometimes you think, I'm going to outgrow this. And it's not going to be a challenge. It's a challenge that spans the life of a person. Porn, it's not a mental diagnosis. Porn addiction is not a mental health diagnosis. The DSM-5 and the ICD-11 has sexual compulsivity, but it's not recognized as a mental disorder, like maybe alcohol is, or maybe marijuana is. But research is extremely clear on the impact it has on men as far as performance and even academic performance. Just bringing to people's attention that it might seem like a little thing, but I think it's the root of a lot of things.
I want to ask you about the credential that you have for counseling. I think you told me it's called Certified Sex Addiction Therapist.
Correct. Correct. It's a company called ITAP, and they certify sex addiction therapists.
Do you have a guess at how many people have that credential in Washington who are offering services?
There's probably 60, maybe.
To get that credential, is it related to any university studies? Are there bachelor's or associates? Are there certain universities that are known to specialize in sex addiction therapy?
Not that I know. I'm currently a doctoral student in the International Institute of Clinical Sexology, and so that's a doctoral program that talks about sexuality plus addiction. You've got to be licensed. You got to be have your master's in clinical mental health counseling or something like that in
And
order
then on
to.
top of that, you add the Certified Sex Addiction Therapist
Yeah.
credential.
On top of that, it's another certification. It's like 30 hours of supervision and many weeks of schooling. I mean yeah, of classes. I picked up a client very recently that'd been through other therapists, and he was really frustrated because many times, um, depending upon what your methodology of counseling is, you might think, well, that's not a big deal. All guys do that. It's just something that's being human, you're being sexual. And he was really frustrated because he couldn't get some counselors to say this is a problem for him. This was an issue for him. And so that's why getting somebody that actually looks through the lens of addiction, might have a little training, can be really helpful for clients. It's just a different lens to look at what the problem is. So understanding the denial and understanding the impact and understanding the shame that keeps it all in and understanding the addictive cycle and addictive process, because it always has a cycle and a process and a ritual attached to it. And so there's some very predictable things that happen with addiction, and just the impact and isolation. Sometimes we like to think we're all unique, which we are, but there's there's more commonality than I think we think.
Besides advocating for age verification requirements for porn websites, are there other laws or public policies that you've learned about that you would like to see Washington adopt?
Oh, absolutely. So AI is a huge thing now. So any sort of protection around AI and the ability to create content and the ability to do things on AI without necessarily some guidelines or some protection for children. In my view, that's the next really that would be the big thing to look at.
Do you follow it all, or are you involved in advocacy related to curriculum for schools?
That had been in the past. Actually, the amicus brief that my wife was into instrumental in writing, centered a portion of us was the Richland School District. in 2017, they provided 12,000 Chromebooks to the children, but they didn't provide really protection on them. And so many parents were coming to town meetings and saying, my children are finding content.
So was there like consideration of whether the school district was liable for the harm being done to kids who were provided these Chromebooks and then were finding harmful material through the school provided resource?
Pretty much, yeah. And it's pretty common for children to find some pornography on school provided devices. And sex education is the big thing within schools. What does healthy sexuality look like? And that is such a hot topic, to be able to teach sexuality, because we were advocating years ago with the school district to try to go, okay, let's put some curriculum of what internet protection looks like, of pornography, and what do you do when you find it? It's not if you find it, what do you do? The pushback we got is that I'm not going to have the school district teach my children about pornography, or I'm not going to have the school district teach my children about sex.
In conclusion here with you, I do advocacy related to boys and men's well-being, all kinds of issues, and I focus on things in Washington State. Do you have any reaction to that or, comments?
That there's the trend of boys growing up and men just not. There seems to be a decline. I've got daughters, and I see the girls. They're kind of surpassing men. So I applaud your efforts to try to bring visibility, to provide resources to men, and fathers. I listened to some of your content and looked at your website, and it sounds like it's a great direction. So yeah, I'm happy to help with that initiative.
Thank you.